like to know how much cash is in your home? Would you like to know what that cash could do for you? Would you like to figure out how to pay off your home faster? Would you like to set up a private search where no one will try to bug you or sell you anything when you're searching for another home? I got an app for that. The wealth building app for your home. HomeBot. It's free. Click here. Oh, welcome to the fun and mentals of real estate. Today we're going to talk about some new construction still, because we were talking about it last week, right, Glenn?
A two-parter.
A two-parter. All right. So the question of the day is, have you ever thought about building your own home?
You mean like a hammer and a nail and some boards? Just go build my own home?
No, not quite, Glenn.
Okay.
But have you ever thought about building your own custom home? Going out, picking out your own ground, sitting down with an architect, drawing your dream home, hiring just that right builder, and building that customized dream home. Have you ever thought about it?
Not only have I thought about it, but it's something we're good at. We both done it.
We've both done
Yes.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done it twice, actually.
I've done it once, and I vowed I would never do it again. But the mistake I made on mine, I was my own general contractor. So I hired the carpenter, I hired the plumber, and that was a lot of work.
Yeah, I did it twice.
Yeah.
General contract twice. So I'm your host today here, Angela Dillmon with Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield in St. Louis, Missouri. And this
Glen
is my
Calvin,
co-host.
Glen Calvin with Guild Mortgage here in Chesterfield as well.
All right, so custom building your own home. Is it for you? All right, so first of all, last couple of weeks we were talking about how many decisions you make in a day, right? It's like 35,000. Well, this is decision making on steroids.
And
so
maybe put another zero.
that's right.
350,000.
350.
decisions,
Okay, so custom home building is just takes this process to another level. This is not going into a subdivision where someone's already picked floor plans for you and has gone to all these different places and said, pick your flooring from here, here's your flooring budget, here's your cabinet budget. When you custom build, you still have to create a budget. Now, this is different on the lending side
A lot different.
as well as the custom actual building process. So the fun thing about this is you get to go pick out your own ground. Now, for me, my husband and I, took us 6 months to find the last one that we did. How long did it take you to find your ground?
It was very, very quick. It was actually, we made the decision. A friend of mine called me one day and said, there's a piece of ground coming for sale. Would you come out and look at it? And we wrote a check out that day for the full price. Yes.
Glenn's much quicker decision maker.
But, I mean, I lucked out. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of ground.
Right.
It was all we ever wanted. It almost providential. It came to me.
Well, there you go.
And it was perfect. So.
All right. So sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's a process.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a piece of ground. In the city, in the county, we see what we call tear downs, where you can buy a home that's needs work. You can actually have the builder tear that home down and put a new one. We see a lot of that in the suburbs of Kirkwood, Webster. And we're starting to see it some in Baldwin, Afton. Yeah.
Oh gosh, everywhere. And there's not a place you can go where you're not seeing tear downs. Right. It is happening everywhere. So it could be that. It could be that you're out on acreage. It could be anything. But the process is the same whether it's out on acreage or whether it is a tear down in a subdivision.
And it is a little more sophisticated, even though the one that I did was the first home that I ever bought. And I always say, one of the reasons I'm still there is I would never do it again. It was just overwhelming. I made a lot of mistakes. But this process typically isn't going to be for a first-time home buyer.
No, not typically.
Right.
No.
Yeah, I've seen it done before, but it's more for that move-up buyer or the maybe the move-down buyer. But it's going to be somebody.
And one of the reasons I don't recommend a first-time home buyer do it, because they've not actually experienced living in a home. And once you experience 1, 2, or 3 homes, now you know what you really want. Now you've experienced the size, the floor plans, the things you like and don't like, and you hone in on more. What is that dream home thing?
And it is going to be a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, it's
and
a
it's
little
just
bit
different.
More expensive.
And although I have seen some custom builders that can finance the project themselves, and you buy for them when it's done, that's really not typical. Most of the time, you're going to go to a bank and you're going to get a construction loan, and you're going to have the bank provide the builder the money to build the house.
Right.
And then when it's done, you're going to take that construction loan.
So let's talk about that process. You find a piece of ground that you really like. Right. What happens from there is that you buy the ground. You own it. Now, the lot loans that you get a lot of times require at least 30% down if you're just going to buy the ground.
Maybe 25, but yeah, they're going to want to...
25, 30% down. Now, You can do that many different ways by, a home ec or a second on your home or whatever. But first of all, you acquire the ground. Then the second thing you do is you go and sit down with an architect and you design the house that you want to build. Now, you better have a budget done before you buy that ground. Because if you don't have an overall budget and you haven't already talked to a builder and you haven't already figured out the price per square foot, which is at least $200 square, it's probably higher. It used to be a lot lower, but it is not anymore. I'm just telling you, you need to just get that budget first, then go find the ground, then sit down with the architect. Sometimes you can go straight to a builder who already has an architect, and that's a little bit nice little shortcut, right? Yeah. We went straight to an architect twice and then found our builder, and we bid the plans out. So you can draw it and go bid it out to multiple builders so you can get the best price, see who you like, or you can go straight to a builder who has an architect and say, I love this builder. He can help me design and build.
Another thing people don't realize is we can take that, the ground that you bought, we can take that plans and the specs and what we call the cost breakdown, and we can actually appraise that property. And an appraiser can tell you what that house is going to be worth when it's finished.
Right. So you have to get qualified for 2 loans here, right, Glenn? So the first loan is my construction loan, right? Right.
But a lot of times the way that I like to do it is to sit down with the person that's interested in doing this project, because I can give them a lot of information. And we can actually get them pre-approved for the permanent loan, get all that paperwork out of the way, get all the qualification stuff out of the way. Then you've got that done. We're going to take that package to the bank, and they're going to make the construction loan, knowing, because the bankers don't want a permanent loan.
No, they know.
They want something that's going to last 6 months, 12, 18 months.
Right. Construction loans are what? Usually 6 months, extended to a year.
I would say more typically now, typically a year extended to 6 months.
Yeah, now probably, right. And so you have to get approved for your final and a construction loan all at the same time, because again, the banks don't want construction loans for 30 years, right? They want them for a year, they want you in, they want you out.
Exactly.
Now, those are usually interest only, and you disperse everything through a title company, through a special account.
And you're only going to pay on the money you use.
Yeah.
So if you took out a $500,000 construction loan, the first month you used $100,000, you would pay interest on that $100.
Right.
The next month, $200, the payment starts going up until it gets to the end. Then you want to flip it over into the
Another tip for custom home building too is that your project, whatever that budget is, better have a 10 to 15% overrun, and you better be able to afford a 10 to 15%.
Yes.
Because between the time that you're drawing plans and actually building and ordering the material and getting them on site, the prices do go up. You change your mind. You want something different, but it's usually the prices are really extended. So you better have a cushion. And you better have a good budget if you're going to do this.
And the builders are excellent at this. As long as we're doing this, we might as well do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and then the price just starts
So we work
up.
with many custom home builders, and we're happy to hook you up with one if this is something that you want to do. But budget is key. And
the bank is going to want to see 20% of actual cost. In the good old days, you used to be able to get that appraisal and they would loan a percentage off that. But now they're going to want to see the actual hard cost, what it's actually going to cost you for the lot, labor, materials to build that house, and they're going to see 20% of your cash, or maybe even some of them will take equity in your current home. But some hard cost into that.
Right. So they want to know you got a lot of skin in the game while you're building this, and they want to make sure that you can get it all the way done.
Right.
Now, the next thing after you pick a builder and you've got your plans and you pick a builder is that if you are your own general contractor like we were, we went out and found the lighting place, the flooring place, the cabinet place, right? The lumber guy. The lumber guy did our lumber takeoff. He ordered our windows. We got our doors through him, our trim through him, all the things that we wanted. My husband would go and I'm like, hey, did you order the siding? And he's like, yeah, I've got what I wanted. And I'm like, great, how much was it? He goes, I don't know. And then I'd have to call the guy and figure. But anyway, the lumber guy was able to do many, many things for us. But that's what happens when you're on your own general.
And and a lot of banks won't do it if you're own general. Now they want to see that you have some kind of experience. I wouldn't recommend it. I had a horrible experience doing it.
I did it twice.
Suffered, and you
good. But I'm a project manager by trade. That's what I am. I'm a project manager, so it works for me. But you can hire the builder, and the builder will do all this project management for you. He has good access to flooring places, cabinet
Subcontractors,
places, the
right,
lumber,
we do
the
that.
window, the
Lighting.
roofer,
Lighting.
right? All the things. And all those specs matter in your budget.
Okay.
The type of house that you built too. We built one where the front porch was like this, and then it came back, and then it went like this, and then it came back, and then it stepped out, and the back was the same way. And it had a lot of jags. Well, that's more expensive to build than my current ranch. Right? That it doesn't have all the
we're
jags
saying
in
that
it,
it's a
so-
hassle, but it still is fun, and it's
It's fun.
accomplishment
Well,
if you like a
yeah.
project. My dad built the house that I grew up in, so I kind of was emulating him,
Mhm.
and it was a lot of work, but it was worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a blast. We loved doing it. But the couple of tips are the budget, the right builder,
Yes.
knowing whether you want to design this from scratch or just work with builders' plans and morph them. You can do that. But we did it the hard way. But we had a lot of fun doing it and it was really enjoyable. So know what your decision-making process and your time. If you do not have time to make all these decisions, to visit the site when you're custom building, to make changes, because when you custom build, you can make changes as you're building,
Yes.
which we did. We would go in and we're like, oh, I don't want that door here. I want the door here. I don't want that window there. I want it here. Or I want a bigger one or a smaller one, whatever it was. We were able to make changes as we went, which you cannot do in a subdivision built house. Right? So the joys of custom building, my walls are thicker. I have 2x6 construction. I have 2x12 foundation walls with rebar going through it like crazy, which means I don't have a crack in my house. I don't have a crack in my foundation. My waterproofing is incredible. Like I've never ever had a water problem in my basement ever, but that's part of the custom build process. So you get to decide all those kinds of things if you want to beef up the structural part of your house. And we did that on both ours and never regretted it. So
Angie and I both have a lot of resources with
Mhm.
builders that we know and trust, and,
Yep.
and happy to sit down and answer questions. It's work, but it's worthwhile.
yeah.
And
So-
like you said, you can really get what you want. And the key word, I think, is customization, because
Mhm.
you can make it your own.
That's right. So this is a process. You need to sit down, count the cost before you do it. We're here to help. So just contact us and we're happy to sit down and walk you through the process.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us today. Join us next week when we talk more about senior living and the transfer, how you transfer into that when you're ready for that.
I'm not ready.
Oh, okay. Well, hope you had some fun today and not too much mental. See you next week.
Thanks.